This is SportsReplays. This is how I went this round. So around ranking of 30,000, so mediocre week, but I still went up 3,000, more than 3,000 in the ranking. So I've actually improved, which is a bit surprising considering I only had a mediocre score this week. I'm guessing there's a lot of teams who are above me who didn't do quite as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Still lost 2 games. There are a few things that went my way, but there's a few things I do need to discuss because still a lot of drama, a lot of chaos that goes on. It always happens early during early on the season. Despite all that, this is like the best I've been ever ranked at this time of the season. So it's a great start. Could be better, but yeah, it's definitely better than the previous years. So we'll start off with Sinclair, 114. Pretty happy with that. It's actually gone down in price, so it wouldn't have gone down that much. But yeah, this is standard Sinclair game. Nothing crazy, nothing poor. And Archie Roberts scored 100, and he has gone down. But I'm guessing because of that first week, wasn't that great. So look, 100's okay. He's one of the positives for that match. So he's a hold at the moment. And then I traded in Houston, who might be a bit of a trap, to be honest. Yeah, two good weeks, and then I bring him in and he does poor. So it's just frustrating when that happens. So I mean, look, was better off going to Ash. Just do a full upgrade because I had the money for it, but I'm thinking, I'm just saving that money just in case because you never know. So it's probably a bad decision on my part. But look, they got Brisbane. I don't know. Yeah, it might be an average matchup, but we'll see. And the Windsor has gone up, but barely enough. So 70 is okay. Disposal efficiency wasn't that great. I mean, Melbourne came back, which we'll discuss with another Melbourne player in a minute. But yeah, 70. I mean, there's bigger problems, so I'll probably hold on to him. I mean, he's gained a bit of money, I guess. So sort of disaster. I just hope he has a couple of big games over 100, and that would push his price up to 400k. And then I'll probably do an upgrade or maybe a downgrade depending who's available. And then Grill 68, okay. Not going to talk too much about him. Most people have him. And then Lindsay, he was selected this week. Don't know why he was dropped to begin with, and he scored 70. So that hopefully should keep his spot. I'm happy with that, and he will make us money if he plays next week. And then Jake and Sarong didn't play, but they should make money once they play this week. And then Butters 126. Just a standard Butters score. He's actually gone down. My guess is because he had a poor first week. It seems like he's the only really top player. I mean, there's a clear standout at Port Adelaide at the moment. There are a couple of good other players, but to lose against North, Melbourne and West Coast, it's pretty ordinary. Don't know where Port's at. They did beat Essendon, but that was probably Essendon's worst ever performance. At least in the last 10 years. Maybe it's probably been a few other performances, but the effort just wasn't there. So, I mean, that's... Butters... Let's hope he averages a little bit more, but 126 is okay. Against the West Coast, so you probably want a bit more. Nick Dacos, so I took the VC option, which was probably one of the best decisions I made this round. It was the best decision I made. So I've actually got something right for once. Happy with that. I'm thinking, I'll take the 150. I had Sherry as captain, but I'm thinking, you never know what's going to happen during that match. And we'll talk about that in a second. But 150 for Dacos. Happy about that. That gamble will sort of pay it off. I wouldn't say gamble, but 150. I thought, they're playing GWS, Collingwood. Dacos is by far their best player, Collingwood. So, a week at GWS, thinking, okay, he might be able to score well here. and that was that decision ended up playing into my hands. And then Sarong bounced back, 135. Started off slow, but as Freo got on top, he showed why he's probably among the best top 40 players in the comp. So, yeah, good game from him. And then Pickett had a terrible start to the game, a terrible disposal efficiency. I looked and he had like 20% at one point. I'm thinking, geez, he's getting a lot of the ball, just wasn't doing too much with it when he had it. But yeah, he turned that around the second half, particularly the last quarter. He got about 70 or 60 points. I didn't have a look, but he's just there. It was a great performance by him and sort of lifted Melbourne to pull off probably one of the best comebacks probably in the last 5 years. But up there. Yeah, one of the best comebacks in the last 5 years, I would say. At least Melbourne's best comeback in a very long time. And then, now back to disappointment. Darcy Parish. So he's gone up, but I don't know, is he a trade out? 67. I mean, most of the Essendon midfielders were disappointing, even though they only lost by 2 goals. Merritt had a poor game. Carwell was average. They were just a smashed. It just wasn't good enough. Did alright the first game against Hawthorn. I know Parish passed it. I'm not too sure. It's probably a hole in the meantime. Unless I could maybe bring a Primo in or another rookie on the bubble. There's probably other things you probably want to do, but I'll probably hold. I know some people want to trade in who are impatient. I'm not too sure what to do with Parish. I mean, there's probably other bigger issues I have. And Bruin, again, disappointing after a great first 2 weeks. His cash gen's going to stop. He needs to bounce back next week, even if it's just an 80 or 90. But that's 47. And that's not quite good enough. So he's a hole, but yeah, he might be one we have to trade in a few weeks' time as well. And Smith had a good start, but sort of dropped off towards the end of the match. And yeah, he's still going to generate cash, but yeah, he's still young. And Murdoch was a late out. So yeah, I'll use that loophole there to get Glenn Myers, who did well, scored more than Parish. Actually has a higher average than Parish, which is a bit of a surprise. Probably says more about Parish. And then Watkins did 69. That's all right. Made a fair bit of money already. And you got Pat Sharp was laid out, but he might get selected next week, hopefully. And then probably the biggest talking point for my side pretty much even the whole round of plays being out is Tristan Sherry. He's actually gone down in price, even though he got 199 last week. And this is probably the worst game he's played in a while, from what I can remember. He might have played another game worse, but he actually got beaten the hitouts by Peter Wright and Buckerson. He did get a goal and got 4 free kicks, but after when he scored that goal, he just got smashed, which is a bit of a surprise. If you're going into this game, Essendon North Melbourne, if there's one area you would think North would get a hold of the most, it would be the ruck, but that was probably the area was probably the poorest they did in that match, which is quite interesting. Everyone was expecting, Sherry's going to get another 200 score. But I think people are underrating Blackerson and, Peter Wright, who are probably older than Williams from West Coast, who are better players. So maybe not Blackerson. Blackerson maybe he's on the same par as Williams, or Flynn. I guess Peter Wright is a better player than Flynn, you could say, but the way, I think he's a bit more aggravated this game, Sherry. Ever since that, 50-metre penalty and the incident with Andrew McGrath, he's just sort of kept him off his game. Sort of the psychological edge. It just sort of affected him mentally as well. So he's probably going to get suspended. I don't know how long for. If it's 4 weeks, and it's probably a trade out by the looks of it, which is probably not what we want. It was probably the best player at one for the first few rounds, or one of, and now he's just it's really thrown a spatter in the woodworks. But I mean, if it's a 1 or 2 weeks, I'll probably hold. I know it is quite a lot on field, but it is only best 18, and it's a winnable game too for North Melbourne playing Carlton at Marvel, so very good chance of winning that. So I'll probably, if it's 1 or 2 weeks, I'll hold. If it's 3 or 4, might be a trade out. Considering that North Melbourne had an easy run. Well, he had an easy run, Sherry. But as I mentioned earlier, it's always good to take your safe option with a VC. If it's a great score, you just take it because you never know. Sherry might pull out a terrible score, even if it is not really that expected. You never know. He can get injured or something happens in the match, puts off his game. I think people, as I mentioned, underrated Peter Wright and Blacketson. And then you got ZZ, who obviously didn't play, and he might even be back in the game again because you got Darcy Garner out, who had an injured midway through that last quarter, or early in that last quarter. So he most likely will come back in, and hopefully will generate some cash for the next few weeks. And then English will come back in. He's got Essendon, so I mean, who knows? I'll talk about that in a minute. And then full line, Sheasel, great player. Phenomenal. Must have. Look, if you don't have Sheasel on your team, you just... it's like, why are you playing Supercoach? And Petrarca, I didn't trade him out. I mean, I know a lot of people did, but I want to hold on to him. I don't want to waste on a trade unless I have to. I mean, there's still 18 years away at top 18 this week. I'll have a look into that too. Don't want to waste trades when he's going to be probably the top 6 forwards anyway, you know what I mean? Same with Sherry, if you got your top players for each line, less than more than 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I've done that before and it's cost me, but then again, you don't want to waste trades. Doing sideways trades unless you sort of have to. It's a massive injury. And then Flanders, 93. Average score. Not terrible, not great. It's gone up a bit. So want to wait until you see St Kilda play an easy team to see how he goes. They haven't really played a super easy team yet. Maybe GWS is probably the weakest side they've played. Maybe Melbourne. Then Melbourne, they've had 2 good games, but 1 really bad game. And then Robertson had a poor game, but did well the first couple of games. Hopefully that's a bit of a one-off, even though they won. Wasn't particularly that great. Still confident he can bounce back. They've got Westgate, so probably have, Sydney. Do have a few outs though, and it is at their home ground. Filippo, 69, so, a mini bounce back. Not that great. But I'm still glad to hold him because he's still going to generate a bit of cash. Again, I'm hoping St Kilda play a few easy sides and he can sort of bounce back. Who they've got? They've got to buy. So, probably a hold, but he had a good first 3 quarters and sort of last quarter was poor. I guess that's for the whole team for St Kilda. They were poor in the last quarter, I should say. Donaldson, 33, he's not good enough. So he's not generating as much as what we want. Will he be dropped? Not too sure. And then Cook, 88. And then Marshall was partly injured. So, and then Mac Andrews, 68. A little disappointing, but he's generating cash. So, I guess the main concern for me, Sherry, maybe a Parrish and Bruin having poor scores. And hopefully Marshall comes back in. Need him to come back in. But I guess I'm mostly happy with the rookies. Probably nailed pretty much all of them. But there are a few plays I'm tempted to bring in that do have lower break even. So, should I trade out Sherry? Should I even trade out Petrarca? Should I even trade out a Windsor or a Parrish or a Bruin? Or trade out Houston again? So, I can't trade out all of them. Because who I'm going to bring in for Sherry, that's a thing. Whose other rucks played well? Yeah, Jackson's got Darcy there. Grundy's gone down a little bit, but getting older, playing West Coast, so could potentially bring him in. And Curvis done well on the streets. After that, it's probably no one else really interested in at this point. Oscar's staying though, interesting. If he plays next week, it'll be an interesting one in the bubble. We'll have to pick him up. And the Conning, he's actually gone down. So, yeah, I'll probably wait with Sherry. It was 1 or 2 weeks I'll hold. I know it's going to hurt me, but for me, it's more about the long term. So I don't want to have the same situation as the last few seasons where you run out of trades and then you have an injury or an underperforming player. And there was any other change I'll probably make. There's a couple rookies for the mid and forward that are relatively cheap. I'm going to generate cash. What I could do is, who could I trade out here? So all these are going to make money though. Man, I could probably trade a Parrish. Yeah, I'm not too sure what to do. There is another Freo forward on the bubble. Maybe I'll get rid of him for Dobson, depending on Dobson's break even. And bring in what's his name from Freo, but he only scored a certain amount. So you got staying there. Where was he? Yeah, Christopher Sherry. So he's at 99k. So that will bring an extra 60k and have a huge amount of money left over, and I can probably upgrade maybe a Parrish or a Bruin, depending on their break even. All depends on who they've got. See, Bruin, and Geelong got that Hawthorns has a tough matchup, and Parrish has got probably an even harder matchup in Bulldogs. So not really confident in them to scoring particularly that high. Well, I can see Bruin maybe doing well against Hawthorn. And then round 5. No, Parrish against Melbourne might do it right. Geelong West Coast. I'll probably actually hold Sherry. I mean, not Sherry. Bruin. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully you did well. Off to a good start, but there are a few minor headaches here I need to sort out.